Welcome back to the Big Five, our very first review for the Big Five. You want to explain what the Big Five is, Becky?
Yeah, I'm here.
2 things I can tell you about it. It's big, and there's 5 very large.
Yes,
Wait,
very.
where's the camera? Very large.
Yes, there's 5 very large things coming towards you right now.
Yep.
And there's 3 of them right here.
Duck.
A duck.
Duck.
So
start over.
Sorry. So what the Big Five is 5 months. It's May, June, July, August, September of the biggest blockbusters of the summer. And even if they're not movies coming out that month, we'll just make up movies and review them for you because that's how dedicated we are. Right?
I'm pretty sure that that's exactly what I said.
That's how professionally we really are.
So Vince. So I have a special guest host.
No, it's all right. Hey, Vince. What's going on, Vince?
I got a special guest host here, Becky, and she had a lot of really good points here about the movie we're about to review. So instead of me sitting here quoting her everything that she said to me, I just figured to stick her in the review so she could say it herself. So that's why she's here.
Oh boy.
Hi, Vince.
So what are we reviewing here, Vince? For our first Big Five of May, of the first thing that we're doing, of the Big Five, of the first one that we're doing.
Which one?
Well, Dave, let me tell you. It's this big movie that I actually was really looking forward to more than any other superhero film this summer.
Let me stop you right there, Vince. I know you said already way too much. Let me cut you off here because you've been talking too much. Let me say that I actually wasn't looking forward to this for whatever reason. It was like, okay, yeah, another Marvel movie. Okay, yeah, more Marvel character. And don't get me wrong, I love the Marvel films. I absolutely think they're spectacular. But for whatever reason, I wasn't looking forward to this movie that much.
No, I was totally excited to see it. Everybody was going crazy about Batman versus Superman, and I really wasn't interested in that one near as much as I thought I would have been.
Which we did review, but apparently it disappeared someplace. It vanished, like Zack Snyder's career. Oh,
I really couldn't wait for it.
Regardless of what was in the trailer, that was not going to change whether or not I wanted to go see the movie, because I want to go see the movie. So I didn't want to see one frame of this movie before I went and saw it. It was impossible to avoid it. Just absolutely impossible. So I watched the first trailer the day it came out, and I had chills. I had goosebumps. Because it was exactly the movie that I wanted, that I had been waiting for, that all these other movies have been building up to. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to watch another commercial. I'm not going to watch another trailer. That's it. I don't want to see one more second of this movie until I go and see it in the theater.
I totally agree with Becky. I was the same way. I watched the first trailer. I saw the SpiderMan trailer, and then I was like, that's it. I don't want to see any more because I want to be surprised by the movie.
All right. So, like I said, I when I sat down, I was like, all right, here we go. Another Marvel film. I would say the first 10 minutes of this film is some of the greatest action sequences I've ever seen. I was like, oh my God, this stuff's awesome. And then I was in. I mean, I was in 100%, 100,000, 10 trillion%. I was in.
And see, I was the same way. I was like, I don't know if I'm really going to be excited about this because it's Captain America 3, and it was like, I liked the first 2, but, this is the third one, so, and I didn't really know what to expect from it either. And all of that was kind of just leading up to until the trailer came out. And once I saw the trailer, then I was like, oh. But then, yeah, the first 10 minutes, it's like, oh, holy crap, this is good. Oh.
When the Marvel movies first started coming out and they came out with phase 1 of all these characters, before any of them had come out, like I guess after Iron Man, but before all the rest of them came out, the one that I was least excited about, the one that I could not care less about, was Captain America. Because I just thought, what about Captain America is going to be interesting to me at all? Because he's the character that, in my opinion, is the hardest to get right. That archetype of character, because he's a goody two-shoes, he's all-American, he's basically, like, people are going to explode when I say this, I'm sure. He's basically the Marvel version of Superman, because he's the guy who always does the right thing, and he's a goody two-shoes, and he's all American. He would be boring because how can you have any conflict or drama or anything interesting about that character? Out of all of the Marvel movies, the Captain America ones have been the ones that I've loved the most because they made that character interesting. They managed to have stories and drama about that character. It's the most interesting out of all of the stories that they've told so far to me, anyway. And that's why I was so excited about this movie in particular. It's all been building up to this. Like, they didn't just slap all this together. Like, they've had almost a decade worth of movies leading up to this point, and they don't have to manufacture any kind of drama between these characters. Like, that's real. That's all been happening this whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel the same way. Even about the first film, I was like, because even when we did our review for it, it was like, I liked the movie, but I liked it even more once he actually became Captain America. You know, once he actually got the suit and got the shield and got the whole thing and actually became Captain America, then from that point to the end of the film, I loved it. But it was like leading up to that, it was like Becky was saying, it was like, this is going to be a boring ass character.
But then they made the second film, which was where I think they made the Avengers then, and then they made the second film, and I still think the Winter Soldier is probably, up until this point anyway, was one of the best Marvel movies ever. I mean, it was just spectacular.
And I can tell you too, the Winter Soldier what got my parents, who, as far as I know, have never read a comic book ever, and they weren't watching the shows, the TV shows, had not seen any of the other movies, didn't see the first Avengers. The first Marvel movie that they saw was the Winter Soldier, and then they went back and watched everything, all the movies. They started watching all the TV shows. Like, they are in 100% with Marvel and DC because of the Winter Soldier. That's what got them into it.
Well, I loved the second one too. I loved it even more than the first one. I was like, it was fantastic. I loved the second film. I don't know if it was my favorite out of all the Marvel movies they've made, but I loved it.
One of the best stories, anyway, of any Marvel movie.
The other thing that's weird about this film is that even though it is Captain America 3, and it's involved around Captain America, it actually doesn't feel like the other Captain America movies. It feels like Avengers 3.
It's exactly what it feels like. It's because everybody's in this movie, basically. So,
Just about, yeah.
I mean, it does. It feels like this is what Avengers 2 should have been, maybe, rather than, than what it was. But it does somewhat focus on Captain America because it's basically his decision of what he did in this film is what drives the whole movie. So I guess, that's why it's Captain America.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly the way I felt about it. It was like, this feels like exactly what Avengers Age of Ultron should have felt like.
The comic you probably never read of Civil War. Basically what the comic was the government was telling all the superheroes they had to unmask, that they had to tell the public or the government their identities and tell everybody who they were. And Iron Man was all for it, and then Captain America wasn't, because Captain America's like, well, if we tell everybody who we are, it's going to endanger our families, our friends, everybody's going to come after us, and it's not what I'm going to do. So then, they went after it, just like this movie. I mean, basically the government told Iron Man to bring in Captain America. But in this one, they changed it to where now they have like a registration act to where the government's telling them who they can save and who they can't save, which is great. I mean, I have zero problems with that. I think that was so spectacular in the film, and it works so well in the movie.
And I was going to say the same thing. I totally agree with you. I mean, no, I haven't read the comics in quite some time, so I really didn't understand the whole Civil War thing, but you explained it to me. And now that I've seen this and seen how they did it in the movie, I totally like the movie storyline better than the other one, because this one is stronger. It makes more sense.
And you know what is so great about the film? About overall, is it has all these superheroes in it, just like the first Avengers movie, and it could have went so wrong because it was like overloaded with these superheroes, but not a single second of this film felt like they didn't need to be on screen. Like every single character in this movie had a purpose and they did what they were supposed to do. It's just so well balanced.
Right, I totally agree. With Batman, I mean, it's like, I think part of the problem with Batman is every time they stick another character into his world, it's like they have to show an origin to it. In the end, it doesn't mean anything.
I'm going to knock you out here with what's the best character in this film, the new character they just introduced.
Are you going to say Spider-Man?
Did I say Spider-Man? I didn't say Spider-Man, did I?
No, Vince said Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Vince said Spider-Man. That's
Spider-Man.
what I'm talking about. No origin story here, Vince.
Not needed. Didn't need it.
I mean,
Everybody on the damn planet knows who Spider-Man is.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's how you do Spider-Man.
You don't need Uncle Ben.
You don't have a freaking 3-hour origin story. He's Spider-Man. We know him. He's awesome.
No, they did it right. They do have an origin to him, but they did it right. They just kind of spoke about it, but they didn't dwell on it. They didn't show everything.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're the Spider guy. Okay, that's the end of the origin. We know who he is. We don't need any more information. If you already made 17 freaking movies, you don't need another film with an origin story. Do it this way. For God's sake! As soon as they showed him on screen, I felt like I was 5 years old. I was like, oh my God, here he is. This is the Spider-Man that I've been waiting for, that I've been wanting to see on film forever. Yeah, Tobey Maguire did a great job. Don't get me wrong. But this guy is Spider-Man, Vince. So this is the character that I've been waiting to see forever. And as soon as they showed him there, I told Becky, oh my God, Spider-Man! You know.
He was pretty excited.
Yeah. So I was like,
that's teenage Peter Parker.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, Spider-Man!
Spider-Man!
That's what I said.
Can they make him any younger? I mean, pretty soon he's going to be in frickin' diapers.
Well, but Peter Parker's supposed to be a high school student.
Yeah, he's supposed to be young.
He don't look like he's 30.
Yeah.
He's a high school student.
He's not growing a beard like Tobey Maguire was. You know, he's supposed to be a teenager, and they finally made him a freaking teenager.
I know, I get it. I get it.
Getting back to Spider-Man, now this is a thing that have always bothered me. I mean, from the very first time I seen Spider-Man.
Preach on it, Dave.
Even when I was a kid, this bothers me. Is how can a kid like Spider-Man, okay, he's a nerd, he's a scientist, how can he create that freaking Spider-Man suit?
He's a scientist. He was always into science.
You couldn't do it. It just has a whole freaking texture, and then he has to glue the webbing on it and figure out the eyes. And
wait, you know who could do that, though?
Tell him, Vince.
Why wouldn't he be able to do that?
Because he couldn't. I mean, could you freaking make a Spider-Man suit that looks like that?
If I were Spider-Man.
You're going to sew that together in home ec?
I can't tell you, Dave. I can't let you know. I'm the Spider guy. I'm the Spider-Man, Dave.
Well, now everybody knows. The 3 people I watch a show will like, what?
Vince, I got a question for you. My first question for you is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Who made your suit?
How'd you make it?
I can't tell you, Dave. I can't tell you.
Wow.
Who made Spider-Man's suit?
Tony Stark made it.
That's right. Yeah. Tony Stark can make that suit.
He's about the only person who could make that kind of technology.
I can make a Spider-Man suit.
I'm going to lay it right out here on the table. Best Marvel movie ever. This is the Empire Strikes Back of Marvel films. This is the best thing they have ever done, and it's going to be so hard to top this. It'll be almost impossible to get anywhere around the emotion that was in this film, and the comedy, and the action, and the acting, and the characters, and everything was perfect. So this film is going to get...
Getting out of the way! Basically, what I love about this movie so much, especially compared with Batman vs. Superman, which we just saw recently as well, is that this movie really feels like the culmination of all the movies that have come before it that were all leading up to this. It's not just a story that they came up with out of nowhere and manufactured fighting between 2 big characters because everybody wants to see them fight. It's not that at all. It's the final chapter of this story that's been going on, building up over all of these movies, and it actually takes the things that it's talking about seriously, unlike Batman vs. Superman.
Oh.
God, there's just so mumuch I can say, and I can't get the words out of my mouth. It's the bomb! Is that what it is? the big one. That's the biggest one. Can I give it 2 bombs?
Go ahead.
Double bombs!
For myself, I don't know if I would say it was the best Marvel movie ever. It was definitely up there with Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy for me. It was one of the more fantastic Marvel movies I've seen. And I would also have to give it the bomb!
Boom with the dynamite.
Oh.
Exactly.
I can make a Spider-Man suit.